Good afternoon, everybody. It is February 2025 program coordinator meeting. I do not have a slide deck today. I decided we didn't really need one, and I want this really to be more of a conversation, particularly when we get into the green school piece. I have some announcements first, and then some telling our story information, and then we will get right into green school. So I first want to say that the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival was a great time. I think it was, I don't have the stats yet, but it sure felt busier to me this year than it did in years past. The interactions and discussions about the program priorities proved the booth setup to be a great success. We had interactive show and tell pieces that we were using to have conversations with guests about. And then what was really interesting to me that I really enjoyed, this is like the third time we participated. And so 2023 was the first year, and the program priorities were still kind of young, right? We rolled them in 2020, late 2021, tried to use them in 2022, and then February 2023, we're at the Flower and Garden Festival talking about our program priorities. But I have to say that there's been a huge improvement in volunteer confidence and competence to talk about the program priorities and relating to how sustainable gardening practices really impacts our water, our soil, pollinators, biodiversity, and overall health and well-being. So it was fun to be there. It was fun to visit with volunteers from across the state, listen to conversations volunteers were having with guests and with each other. So I will get the stats to you as soon as I have them. And if you were from a program with a foundation that supported, we'll get some thank yous out as well. Endowed Chair campaign update. Last month, I let you know that we're not meeting our benchmarks to meet that $1.5 million, and that WSU will not be able to hire an endowed chair fully dedicated to the Extension Master Gardener program like we had hoped. We're not giving up. I feel like this is an opportunity to do something different, figure out how to ensure that our message for this need resonates with constituencies. So Connor's Development, Jim Smith and Denise Eschelbarger, Dean Wendy Powers, Vicki McCracken, Associate Dean Vicki McCracken, along with Tana Hassert, the State Foundation President, and myself are investigating potential options for a path forward that grows the endowment and provides a source of funds for the program to use. I will keep you updated as I know more. I get small updates about once a week. I'm hoping I'll have a larger update for everybody within the next couple weeks. All right. As a reminder, the 2024 survey, the annual report survey is due Friday. It looks like I looked this morning. I don't know if some of you entered it between the time I looked and now, but we have about half of our programs who have responded. Thanks to those of you who have already done that. And if you haven't, please take some time to get that in by Friday. Also, the impact worksheets, those Word documents that I sent to you that ask you to put in, what is the issue? What have you done about it? Those are also due Friday, so please complete those. Attach any photos that you have and email me by the end of day Friday. So Debbie and I, what we do, we get all of that data and aggregate it so that we can tell a statewide story. And then, so we use the data from the survey to accompany the impact stories that you send me. And then I also put look at all of the stories. I put all the stories together and then enter impact data into Activity Insight. I know each of you needed to do that this year. If you're an AP, you were doing that this year. And we've been told over the last few weeks that these are more important than ever before. And I will continue to put impact information into Activity Insight so that Dean Powers and Dean McCracken and other WSU leaders can grab those out and use them when they're advocating for WSU at the state and federal level, which they're doing right now. And thinking about the importance of these, showing that we do make a difference in our communities is incredibly important with the budget uncertainties at both the state and federal levels. So please make sure you get that done by the end of February so I can get that data and aggregate it and get it into Activity Insight and start that impact report. And then one more thing I wanted to talk to you about around telling our story, the program evaluation for 2025, right? We've been saying, the Telling Our Story team has been saying, work with your volunteer presenters and get them to evaluate their, pick a class and evaluate it using the tools. And we've had a number of questions about where are the tools? How do we use the tools? How can we get our volunteers engaged in it? So Erica from Clark County and King County, and I'm sorry if I'm probably forgetting, but we had a number of counties review what we're calling a coordinator cheat sheet, not the favorite name, but it's the name we're using, and a scavenger hunt for volunteers to use to help guide, and I'm going to share my screen here, to help guide, I'm going to try to share it, to help guide each of you in finding the resources that are on our website. So this is the cheat sheet. Some primary tools include branded items and surveys, and then just some tips to help you engage your volunteers in doing the evaluation work. So that's for coordinators. So that this is now in our Teams page in the Telling Our Story channel in the toolkit file folder. And then another tool that we created is, what are you guys seeing? Are you seeing something that says Extension Master Gardener Story? Thanks, Jason. So this is a scavenger hunt of sorts that you can share with volunteers and give them or offer them the opportunity to log up to 1 hour of continuing education for completing the scavenger hunt. And it's really about helping them find the resources on the website and what to do with them. I'm going to share this one tomorrow during Staying Mission Driven and encourage presenters to use it and use the associated evaluation tools. The Qualtrics report, Bridget, I think you're going to have to start over, which is fine. I don't recall what the settings are for that. But I'll be able to remove the partial response when I export everything. They can be added to the pollinator numbers, Linda.
Okay, once I get them all and the last class is on Friday, then I'll forward you the report, I
Okay,
guess.
sounds
Okay.
good. All
The
right.
questions don't match, so
Well, that's okay, but so are they 2025 or 2024?
2025.
Okay, let's wait on those. Let's focus on
Okay.
the 2024 stuff right now. But I'm glad
Okay.
you're doing it, right? I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay,
was just so stinking excited. I was like, I've got surveys.
good. Yeah, and so that will hopefully be able to use that and figure out, even though they're not the same, like how can we, the questions don't match. I want to look at what you asked and see how we can make that work. Okay. Let's see. So, quality resources. This gets us into green school. The other thing about Northwest Lawn and Garden Festival is lots and lots and lots of questions about green school and cities, like city parks and rec and vegetation managers going, oh my gosh, we need all of our employees to go through green school. So I know, Tim, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole purpose. Well, not the whole purpose. It is a purpose. Yeah. Um, so it's, it was a bit of a relief to me to have so much interest. And with the idea of having lots of new volunteers going through it, but also people who want the education for their careers or just for their own personal use. So the website launched. If you have not had the opportunity to take a look at the website, please do. I'm going to stick the link in the chat for you. We know that there are pieces of this website that need work. We knew that was going to be the case, and we're okay with that. So we are receiving feedback, and we're some of it is going to be fixed within the next couple days. It's like typo things and commas in the wrong spot and things like that. However, there are other pieces of it that need some work to refine, define, clarify the differences between the Green School, the Washington Gardener certificate, and the Extension Master Gardener certification. So that kind of feedback, I'm keeping in a parking lot sort of thing. I'm calling it a parking lot, and I will continue to accept that kind of information through the listening sessions. And then we will take a close look at it and make a determination, on what should be changed, what needs to be changed, what could be changed, and make adjustments as necessary. Makes sense? So if you have a look at it and you have some questions, you have some thoughts, you're hearing from volunteers, let me know and email me and I'll hold on to that. Caitlin.
And the listening sessions are those 2 dates in March you sent out, is that correct?
Yeah.
So we should forward that to all of our volunteers?
Your training team volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that on well, we'll go through that real quick at the end of this today too.
Great, thanks.
Let's see. So Caitlin, you're done asking questions. So Mary.
I just put it in the chat, but wondering if when a person fills out the form saying they want to be contacted for more information, we had a master gardener test that out yesterday and we haven't received anything. So I'm wondering if it's either not set up yet or if it requires a human to sort and forward.
I'm going to defer that one to Debbie.
Okay. And then where does it go? Does it go to the coordinator or?
Debbie, do you know what she's referring to?
I don't. I did not set up a form on that
I will,
website.
I will find it and put the link in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So moving on, last month we talked about application and wanting to have more time and more flexibility in that. So we decided to open up the application period to start on July 1 and go through August 30. So it's 8 weeks. However, on the website, there's a caveat that says, your county, may close their application prior to August 30. So the state website, the state Extension Green School website will advertise July 1 to August 30. We have to have something there, but it also will send them to their specific county and where they will find more details. So on your county page is where we really want you to put your details about application. But this should give you more time, right, to manage that. The process for application will be handled by you in the county just like it always has. The state's we're not handling that part. So you'll do the background checks like you always have. You'll do the pest management agreement like you always have, the interviews, the orientations, all of that. The application itself, the state reviews that application every year and then puts it out for availability, usually in June. Obviously, that's going to be too late. So I'm going to have that done for you by the end of March. And that is written in the working document. So if you need to get back into that working document to look at details, all of this is in there. So we are currently working on that application and it will be available to you by the end of March. Right now I'm thinking it will be available in Qualtrics so that a person can just get into answer it like a survey and sign it. And I'll also have it available via Word so that, and on both of those versions, you'll be able to add the questions, the approved questions that you need to add for your specific county. I'm not thinking, unless you tell me otherwise, that we will have it available in a fillable PDF. It's a lot of work to put those together, which I'm happy to do, but I feel like you all change it anyway, to an extent. And so if I go through the work, actually, Debbie goes through the work of putting that fillable PDF together, and then you change it, what's the point?
Didn't you do that for us previously?
Have in years past, Caitlin.
Okay.
And,
And
so
I know
yeah,
going forward, we're supposed to use the gravity forms. Does that make it easier or different?
that's fine too. You can
Yeah.
create some counties can do that, some can't. It depends on which editor you're on for your website.
I think it would be really helpful to have it as a fillable PDF.
Okay. How many of you, Linda, I see your hand is up and I want to get to you, but like do a thumbs up or something so I can get an idea. How many of you use the application exactly as I share it? I don't see, yeah, a couple maybe. Seeing 2 or 3.
I use it just the way that you send it in Okanagan County.
Okay.
And I think we can update the cover form, right? And then have a similar application.
Yeah, there's always a cover letter option too. Yeah.
Done.
Okay, so
Yeah, I've added all my details in a document that's separate than the fillables because I thought we needed to use it.
So
Okay.
now that you've specified that, yes, I use the application as is and then add a cover letter.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll create it in a fillable PDF then. Sounds like enough of you use it that way and have a cover letter that it'll make it worth it.
And my question kind of falls into this. The question that was previously said about where do the people who go to the state website and say I'm interested and then put their county, where do those go? I thought that that was already in place and that I was just going to point my page, which I'm migrating right now, to the Washington Green School page, and then I didn't have to do a separate one for Stevens County.
You'll need to do a separate page for Stevens County Master Gardener program. And
Okay.
Debbie has created a template for that. And if
Okay.
you're on the new web editor, you should be able to grab that down.
Yeah, we're moving over right now.
Okay. Caitlin in Pierce County on the new web editor, and Debbie, this was part of our conversation for tomorrow, but Caitlin could not pull it down, right, Caitlin? But you just copied and pasted.
Yeah, I think I saw Debbie has a comment in the chat. I think you just have to have Connor's IT add it to your site, but
I
my
see.
template was similar enough that I just copied the text.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you want to look at what Caitlin did, go out to the Pierce County site and see what's there.
I've had a tab open to the Pierce County site for a little while.
I'm looking at the link that oh, that's on the template. So Debbie, did you see that Mary put in the chat? It's on the template site, so it's not live.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not live, Mary. So yeah, it's not going to work yet.
Okay, thank you.
But when it's help me understand this though, Debbie, when it is live, because this is for the county site, right?
Yeah, so there are two different templates. So one is for the green school for the counties to customize with their own information. And the other one is this contact form, and that's also a template. So once you add it to your website, you would put in, there's an area to add the notifications, and you would put in the emails of who you want that to go to.
When you're building the site.
Yeah, but right now it doesn't go anyplace.
Right. Okay. Erica, that's a good question. I want to talk about that in a few minutes, not right now. Amy.
I'm just wondering if would it be possible for us to extend the deadline for applications by a few days? We're our biggest recruitment time is fair, and the deadline is like a couple days before fair. So if we are able as a county to make it like September 5th, that would really help us out with recruitment.
I think that's totally fine for you to be able to do that. The deadline that you're going to be bumping up against is the closure of registration, which is September 30. So after that, it's not going to be feasible. So if they haven't applied, haven't been through the background check, haven't been done the interview and been accepted into the program, and registered by September 30, it will be too late. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry you don't feel good.
I'm just getting over COVID. It's my first time getting it. It's awful.
Yeah, oh man, I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm gonna add a note here for myself, so I remember the PDF part. Alrighty. And then we have a new agreement that has been reviewed by a couple of coordinators. That agreement is on the Green School website. And when a volunteer is considering, whether they want to become an Extension Master Gardener volunteer or not, they fill out the application. By signing the application, they will be agreeing to these the volunteer expectations and agreement. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for you to review it. There's quite a bit here. Most of it came straight out of our handbook, but we pulled out the the highlights that we wanted to make sure that all volunteers who are considering becoming a part of our program understand. So things like, they must be 18, simple. That the criminal background check will happen. That I'm limited to giving advice to home gardeners only. That I must not give advice that could be perceived as legal. The IPM approach with an explanation of what IPM is, and that, if your personally held values prohibit your ability to advise about the safe and appropriate use of pesticides, becoming an Extension Master Gardener may not be for you. And then we point them to our IPM page so that they can read more about that. We also have pieces in here about our code of conduct: respect all persons, courteous, respectful manner, refrain from profanity, role model, not consume alcohol, marijuana, and then another one, I'm trying to find it. Oh, that, if they don't complete their volunteer service, we'll bill them for the difference in hours. I understand that volunteering is a privilege and not a right. If selected as a volunteer, I understand that I serve at the request of WSU Extension, and that request can be withdrawn at any time. So this agreement, by filling out the application and signing it, this agreement will be linked, or something similar. This is here now, but I'm asking you to review it, and if there's anything that is missing or way out of whack, or I'd like to hear from you. And then Jana's reviewing it as well. Amy, do you have another question, or is that just leftovers? Sorry, yeah. So Sarah, you had a question. It doesn't sound like it's related to Green School.
I had a question earlier about Green School, way up in the chat, which was so in the application process, we're going to have people who might apply to volunteer, but if they're not accepted as a volunteer, might want to enroll in Green School instead, and that the timing is a little funny for that. Is there a way to merge them back into the Green School population if they want to be?
So what I see happening is that, because there's the registration links will be two separate links. One link for Master Gardener volunteers related, and it will be connected to your county. That's how the link will work to get the courses set up, right? If they're not accepted as a Master Gardener, you'll send them a letter. Thank you for applying. Unfortunately, you were not selected. please consider taking Green School. Here's the link to register.
I think that Green School will be closed by the time we,
It shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be, okay.
Green School applicant, I mean, it closes on September 30th.
Oh, got it, yes, okay,
Same as Master Gardeners.
okay.
But Sarah, that's a good point. There's not going to be much wiggle room if you are.
Extend your, yeah, if you extend your dates out, right?
Yeah.
And then what was the other question, Sarah? I joined a few minutes late and missed whether a worksheet was shared to prepare for entering everything into Qualtrics. I shared a impact worksheet. It was a Word document, but that wasn't in preparation for Qualtrics. That was the impact. You know, what's the issue? What did you do about it? There are a variety of like the clinic activity reports, right? That people use. Were you looking for something different?
Well, in past years, there was a Word form that basically you inputted everything in there before going to Qualtrics, since you only get this one chance at Qualtrics.
Oh, I see. I did attach the Word document to the e-news that was sent in January.
Okay,
What's
so
that?
it would be would that be from you or would that be from,
It was the MG, I sent it to MG Chords, but from me. So I don't know how you
okay,
sort of
I
found
just,
that.
Sarah, I just put it in the chat. Hopefully you
thank you.
can download it
Oh,
from
Okay,
there.
you, Tessa. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay.
Can I just emphasize Sarah's request? I do remember receiving that and I use it, but for the reasons stated that when you're in Qualtrics, you got to get it done. You can't just stop and come back. I always actually print it out and then I make sure everything's completed and then I go from that printout when I'm entering it into Qualtrics. Otherwise, you don't have time to go while you're in Qualtrics to go pull data from here and pull data from there. So I use that form every single year. Anyway, just to emphasize that it is a very valuable resource to have. Thank you.
Sure. So Alice, if a person says they're going to volunteer and then they don't complete, you know, I don't have the process completely figured out for that yet, but I'd like it to come through me and I will figure out how to bill them. I don't want you guys to have to deal with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Erica, so getting our language shored up around the use of these terms is going to be important for clarifying the difference, right? So it's all Green School. Within Green School, we have the Extension Master Gardener Certification track and the Washington Gardener Certificate track. So if I'm slipping up to, remind me, we'll help each other out. All right. So where were we on my list of things I wanted to? Oh, that's the wrong one. So I shared the agreement. So next, I want to talk about the labs. I've had a number of questions about the labs from volunteers and coordinators alike. Concern about from it being way too much to it being not enough to how our mentor is going to be involved. This is, you know, it's kind of all over the board. So, and, you know, we're trying to find the middle ground here. So when we say 20 hours, it's approximately 20 hours of in-person labs. The labs are where you, as the coordinator, get to customize the training to fit your county needs and to ensure that the trainees have the competencies needed to be confident volunteers. Labs are where the mentors will really get involved. They'll be very important in this space to intentionally integrate the trainees into becoming interns and into certified extension master gardener volunteers. I don't see that changing a whole lot from what's happening right now. The thing that's changing is the online training, the in-class components, the in-class labs. That's still in your bailiwick as a county coordinator. And we want them to be hands-on as possible. I get it that we're not in a lab, right? It's we don't have microscopes for every single trainee. I get that. But you know, as hands-on as possible.
And we select the date, time, all that, that we're up,
Yep.
it's up to us. Okay. I saw somewhere where there's lessons, like lesson plans for the labs.
We do have some sample lesson plans. Bryce is going to show you those here in a
Oh,
few.
okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if we could rethink calling them labs, since they're going to be a lot more wide ranging than that. And I think that is both kind of a stumbling block for some of our volunteers, that they're like, how are we going to get just what you said? Our program owns 6 microscopes. How are we going to get everybody a microscope? But also, I think for interns, if they're expecting 20 hours of lab time, and then they get really more like workshops and field trips and so forth, that I want to help prepare them for what will actually be happening.
Yeah, I think the website says, you know, labs, field trips, hands-on experiences. I'm open to making some changes to that title. Because I can see where it's confusing. But I want to think it through, and when we make that change and how we make that change. And right now I don't have a lot of thought around it, other than I know it is it's a bit of a stumbling block. So but these in-person sessions are really where, you know, that's where you get to train the trainees and make sure that they're competent to serve. And for counties that are already hosting those in-person experiences, I won't call them labs, experiences, those field trips, I don't see your training strategy changing a whole lot. I say a whole lot only because we've developed, the curriculum update team has developed some core competencies that we want all volunteers in the state to feel good about, to be able to do when they finish their internship and are becoming certified. So we'll want the in-person activities, and Bryce is going to show you this. It shouldn't be a whole lot different than what we've done in the past. But what this is going to do is allow counties to host the right number of in-person experiences for your county that gets volunteers to feel competent and confident to serve. Because it's going to be different in every county. So we have these competencies, and I'm going to turn it over to Bryce so he can talk you through them and show you some. And I think part of what he's going to show you also is how the lesson plan fits into that. Go ahead, Bryce.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, so I also think we ended up saying labs as just shorthand for labs, field trips, activities, and then we just started saying labs to refer to all of those things, but then we ended up writing labs, but we don't mean you know, white coats and microscopes. So it'd be good to get a global name for that. Okay, so right. competencies. So competencies is something that we settled on because we realized it doesn't really matter how many hours are done in each county, and it could be different between counties. And it doesn't really matter exactly what activities are done in counties because that needs to be personalized for each county. And it doesn't really matter who offers these activities or in what format. What matters is what the trainee gets out of it. And we'd like there to be some standardization across the state. And anyway, so I got my little curriculum team together. That's a few of you. And we looked at like, this is harkening back to a year ago when we were doing a whole backward design with the curriculum. What are all the things that we say that we want master gardeners to know and be able to do by the time they finish? And how could we list that out in a way that could be something like a checklist or something that people could refer back to as a touch point? So we started with the course outcomes. This is something we came up with more than a year ago. So the course outcomes are in this right-hand column. I'm not going to read them off or anything, but I will share this document when it's completed. So these are overall outcomes. By the time someone finishes their training to become a master gardener, they should meet these really broad outcomes. So then broken down into competencies, it looks more like this. So there's some things that are just foundational knowledge, and that includes all the things that are kind of program related, like about the program priorities, the mission, the vision, the land grant purpose, all these sort of things, including as foundational knowledge what they do in green school. That's foundational knowledge. Everything else, well, most of this and everything else are things that you do in your own county to train your new master gardeners. So we went with the same structure and topic layout as in green school and made a row for each of those with a little explanation of what the criteria would be for each of those, that somebody would have to show that you know that they did it. So for botany and plant identification, you've got demonstrates proficiency using plant keys and field guides for plant identification and correctly uses plant morphological characteristics. So that's what we're proposing as the criteria for botany and plant identification. By the time somebody finishes their whole training with you, they should be able to do these basic things. There might be other things that you add on and that are really important in your county, but this would be the baseline. So there's one of these under application and integration for each of the topics, the sort of major topics that we have. There's some things under the human dimension like DEI, working with the public. Under the caring dimension, we've got stewardship, sense of place, humans in nature, and these are, harkening back a lot to the program priorities. And then in learning how to learn, because we're trying to set them up so that when people become master gardeners, they're going to just keep expanding their knowledge. There are 4 different ones here: accessing information, using a flipped classroom model. Do they know that they have to study first and then they come and meet with you to apply those things? And then media and science literacy. The way that I've laid this out makes room for people to just decide themselves what evidence they'll accept for the trainee to show that they've met this competency, and then an area for notes. Someone could make notes about it. So I just wanted to show you an example of what this could look like. Let's start with this one. So it could be if you wanted to set it up in your county so that you as a coordinator personally sort of checked these things off for each trainee and you wanted to keep track of it, then what you would do is in the evidence column, you'd write down what you did or what you plan to do to help people meet that competency. So I'll use the same example for all of these, but what I've done in the evidence column is I've written down what that thing would be. So completion of soil health assessment worksheet. And then in the notes column, I've written an example of what your notes on that might be. And this is this is not Mary, our coordinator. This is a pretend trainee called Mary. So you might say, well, okay, Mary did well on the worksheet and seems to understand the concepts and hands-on experience. and she'll solidify her understanding of soil health assessment later as she becomes a master gardener. Another way you could do it is you could have this be a self-assessment tool. You could just know, okay, I'm going to teach and cover all these things in our hands-on activities, but I want the trainees themselves to be able to follow along and check off for themselves that they're keeping up, so that they can feel good about, okay, I really did I did learn what they intended me to learn. So it could be similar, and it could be like the trainee writes down what the thing was they did to learn this. And I'll just go to that same example. So this is soil science. And then in here, they could just make some little notes like, I completed the worksheet. I think I understand the ideas. Getting my hands dirty will help me really understand what soil health assessment is all about. So they're sort of like saying what they did and then forward looking like, obviously I'm going to have to learn more about this, but I do plan to. So that would be as a self-assessment. So then to support this, and I've talked to each of you individually, we've been collecting lesson plans so that if there was someone who didn't feel prepared to have some sort of hands-on activity about soil science, we want to offer some pre-made lesson plans that you could just pick up and go with. You could print it out and you could see all the resources that go with it. So I wanted to show you an example of that. So these are in Teams. That's where they're shared right now. So if you go to the Master Gardener Coordinator's Teams channel with this little 3-leaf symbol, and then you go to MG Training Resources on the left. Great. Can't see the thing. Okay. And then you click on Files at the top. I've made a purple folder. It's called Lesson Plans. And inside that folder are all the lesson plans that we have so far. Within that is a lesson plan that relates exactly to what I was just talking about there. So there's something that looks like this. Oh, didn't pop up on your screen. Hold on. Okay, so there's a lesson plan. And it takes you through the mission, vision, the purpose. You check out, you can see which program priorities are covered. You can figure out which learning outcomes are covered. Those are given to you. The specific learning outcomes for this activity, and then all of the information you need to do it. It just spells it out. Here's the materials you need to put together before you start. Here's how the activity is going to work. And then breaking it down in time chunks. Here's how long you should spend on an introduction. Here's the things you can say. Here's what you do for the content. And this particular one looks like the thing that the trainees fill out is a worksheet. So if you remember back on the competencies I showed you, it talked about filling out a worksheet. So this would be the worksheet. It's given to you. You take people out in the field. You'd be looking at soil samples, and you'd be assessing them by all of these qualities. Sorry, that's really tiny. And that would be the worksheet they would do. So I just want to emphasize, these are optional. These are not required things. You don't have to use these specific lesson plans, but they are available, and they've been shared and vetted and formatted in a way that anybody could use them, and they would help the trainee meet the competencies. It's like aligned with the competencies. So you can know that if you're using that worksheet, it's going to help your particular trainees meet this competency as listed. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to show. Questions, if we have time for that, Jennifer?
Sure. Yep. Have some time. Sure you have Bryce. Yeah.
Quick question. This is only for the volunteer track students, right? Or does everybody? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, this is not the people that are just taking green school for a certificate as Washington gardeners will not see any of this.
Okay,
or do
thanks.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Right, Bryce, this is fantastic resources that I'm going to be mostly delegating to volunteers, and I'm going to try and figure out a way to get all of the materials because they won't have access to those folders. So I'm going to be trying to teach myself how to how to move folders around, because that's, you've really set us up for success with all the materials in there. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. You should be able to download these from Teams and use them how you want.
Is there, or is this, any of this copyrighted, or can we make any kind of tweaks to it? Like if we want to add something to the assessment? Or is that something we just need to just kind of do offline without, I don't know.
Without mentioning it.
Yeah, well, I mean, just kind of like on our own.
I don't know the answer to that. Jennifer, you'd be better for that question, I think.
Well, I think it's okay for you to change it, Jason, for your specific use in your county by adding a competency or something like that that you think you need in your county, right? But don't change the one on Teams.
Oh, no, nope.
Yeah, okay.
I made that mistake once, I think. So. Sorry again.
Yeah, oh, no worries. I mean, it's easy to go back and find the older version. But this is, you know, these are the sort of the state minimum competencies that we're wanting all volunteers to feel good about and feel confident about in their service to Washington State University. But if you want to add one, feel free. And again, the lesson plans are optional. But will support the learning toward the competencies. All right. So I want to go back to Erica's question quickly in the chat before we move on to the volunteer year question. So Erica said, you know, in the chat it was about, so as a Master Gardener volunteer, do they have the Washington Gardener certificate? Yes, everybody who completes Green School will receive a Washington Gardener certificate that they can use on their business, you know, to advertise as a Washington Gardener. And if they complete the Extension Master Gardener track, they will also have the certification, the Extension Master Gardener certification.
Jennifer, I'm asking about the current folks that maybe trained last year or 10 years ago, that they can all get one?
If they take the Green School, yes, they can get a Washington Gardener certificate.
Okay, so they can't get one because they're already sort of grandfathered in.
Correct. They would have to retake it. And there is a price break for current Master Gardeners.
I'm trying to outline for my current Master Gardeners what the differences are between what they took and what is being offered. And I know that there's 3 new chapters, but I don't think there's been significant change outside of that. So I'm trying to be
all of the chapters have been updated and reviewed. Every single chapter is different.
Would you say that was significantly so?
Depending on the chapter. Not every, yeah. Some chapters significantly so, others are not. And then the learning management system in Moodle, the modules are different. They will all be different, updated and changed. And then the weekly reviews are different from what they had as well. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Along that line, I had a question from one of our volunteers asking if they could just take those 3 modules that are new as continuing education, or if they would have to take the whole program.
It would be the whole course at this point. In future, we're hoping to do short courses, but I cannot guarantee it would just be those 3, right? We'll group them into like soil science as a short course. And I would also think that the $125 would be less expensive to take the whole course than it would be to take short courses. But I mean, until we look at that and put price points on those things, I don't know for sure. Linda?
Thank you. In regards to price point, it's more than $100 more than what we were charging in this county, and we're pretty poor here. So for scholarship students, do we make up, does our county budget have to make up for the difference? Is that how that works? And prior to this, we had you know, the 85 that went to WSU, and then what we charged for the county expenses. Is it split up that way somehow?
It's not. I mean, we have fees that we have to pay to our new LMS, the extension Moodle. But it's all one fee now. And so, and so it's not split up. The first question, the county budget does not have to make up the difference as long as they can pay the scholarship amount. And scholarships are going to be handled at your county level. So you receive the scholarship application and grant the scholarship, and there will be a scholarship link for people who will register using that scholarship link.
I'm just afraid that I'm going to end up with all scholarship students.
Yeah, it's possible.
So none of that 275 is coming to us, to our local program?
Oh, it is. After all the expenses are paid, you'll receive half of it. So if somebody's paying the full freight, you will receive about $155 per student into your county.
Okay.
Amy?
Will we be able to offer the in-class experience, if that's what we're calling it, for free for continuing education for current Master Gardeners?
If you want to, sure.
Okay, okay. They expect some free continuing education
Yeah.
every year. We don't
Yeah.
really have the resources to do a whole different thing for them. So thanks.
And yeah, sure. Jason?
Yeah, for the actually a couple questions for the scholarship. So I figure it's like $12 more we're gonna get after WCU halves it. Is there any way that if the foundation, I'm gonna ask the foundation if they can do scholarships, but is there any way that we can put that money aside that, like, for me, in my case, the $12, can that go towards somebody's training? Like, can I do scholarships out of my through my P card or through my workshop account?
Won't be able to use your P card, but we'll need to figure out how we do that. Currently it's through an IRI, but I'm not sure how that will happen because it's not staying with WSU. We're going outside of WSU right now. So I need to figure that out, Jason.
Okay, that'd really be helpful.
Okay.
And the other question is, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get asked at the Q&A, but are coordinators gonna have any access to any of this training
Oh yeah. Yeah, you'll have teacher access just like you do with Canvas.
Canvas? Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
can't help
only have
anybody.
access to your Lewis County students.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you.
Mary?
Thank you. Clarifying question, and if this was already said, I apologize, but is the fee that the students being charged include the Moodle, or because historically they've had to make two payments, one to Canvas and one locally. Is it all into one right now? Okay, so there's no separate add-on.
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Bridget. Yeah, we'll cover more. Let's go ahead and move over I want to talk real quickly about the volunteer year. If you need to leave, I know it's 2:00, but I'd like your feedback on this. So since we changed the annual certification deadline to November 30, I've had a number of conversations with volunteers and coordinators about publishing a volunteer year. historically that year has been January 1st through December 31st. And I'm not sure that it's published anywhere, right? I just think that that's kind of been our understanding. It's our, we just use the calendar year. And with Green School starting in October, I'm wondering if we should publish a volunteer year. And if we do that, what would it be? And Caitlin, you were kind of hinting at this a little bit ago. So if a volunteer starts Green School in October of 2025, when do they need to finish that 40 hours of internship to become certified? By when?
I'd give them a year, right up after this, so October of the next year.
So till September 30 days, September 30th. So they have a full 12 months.
Except they're not volunteering during their training period. My expectation is they're busy doing their training. They may come to one or two things, but their expectation is once they start in training, that's when they become an intern.
That's very end of August. So they have September, October, November, and December if they want to get a few hours in, but then they have the entire next year through December 31st.
That's not how we do it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's different. Every single county is different. And so I don't know if publishing a year is worth it, or if we leave it open and then each county can do what they need to do. Sarah?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what our new year is gonna look like with Green School coming in. And we could reconvene after a year of Green School and see if calendars seem to be lining up differently and make that calendar then. Or, you know, if we wanted to do it now, it would be guesswork. And I think you would just have to make a decision based on best guess.
Go ahead, Mary.
I think if coordinators have the option of making that decision, I just assumed we were all doing the same January through December or through November. January through November for purposes. Well, there was January through November for purposes of meeting their recertification deadline, but anything they entered into the system through December counted as their like total hours for the year. If on the county level we can adjust it as we see fit, then that would be great. We can compare notes next year based on how different counties experienced. So I think for us in my county, we'd probably switch to October through September to align with Green School. And what was the other thing? Yeah, I don't know what the other thing was, but if I had the option of doing that, and then, oh, I know what the other thing was. In terms of your annual reporting, the annual reports that you do, would this have an effect on that, or is this a completely separate thing?
I think if we did back the year in, to end on September 30 or, whatever we choose, we would be able to have our data earlier and meet some of the federal reporting deadlines that we currently cannot meet. We're a year behind on everything when we report to the Fed. When the report that I have to have in for the federal government, the 2024 information was actually 2023. We're a year behind.
Oh, wow. So I need to think about, I mean, my first thought is, oh, that'd be great. I'm going to switch it if I have the option of that at the county level. But then I'm realizing for data polls, I need to check with our Hort secretary to see if that's going to, because if it's not the same as annual reporting, I think that's going to create more work for her.
So, and Kelly, I was wondering about that. Kelly just put in the chat about it matches the 4-H years. So for coordinators who are doing both Master Gardener and 4-H, how would that impact you? So these are things to think about. I think I like Sarah's comment about let's sit on it for a year, watch the garden grow, and then decide which changes we're going to make. It's a new house we're living in. We gotta check out the landscape for a year and then come back and see. And in the meantime, you as county coordinators need to make the decisions that work best for you around the volunteer year. Sound all right? Okay. But I do want to reconvene about it, and I want to hear from those of you who are doing both Master Gardener and 4-H. The working document is being kept up to date, so don't forget to get in there and have a look, and there's things there for you to review. Our March push will be finalizing the marketing plan, revising the website, finalizing and sharing the application, and completing the new handbook, the PNW Gardener's Handbook, Growing for the Future. All of the chapters are designed. We have one left to finalize. That deserves like a high five, I gotta tell you. Woohoo! So, and then they have to stitch it all together, like virtually, electronically stitch it all together and make it into a singular document. So we're getting there. Don't forget about the Q&A sessions, March 6th and March 12th, and invite Extension Master Gardeners who are part of your training teams to attend so that they have an opportunity to ask questions directly. And I have a couple more things that are not related to Green School that I wanted to update you on. Any Green School related questions remaining? Erica.
So can we release the application before July 1st?
Yes, I don't see why not, but wait for me to get it available for you because it's going to change some.
Okay, do you have an idea of when it will be available?
It'll be by the end of March, it'll be available.
Okay, thank you.
Tessa?
Is there going to be, I've been getting this question from my volunteers, and I'm sorry if you already answered it and I didn't hear it. Is there going to be a fee for them to download or get the new textbook, or options for that?
Yeah, we need to meet, Bryce and I need to meet with publications and figure out what that price point is going to be and how we get a copy to each coordinator.
Okay, cool.
I don't know the answers to those things. Any other Green School related questions? Okay, so I also wanted to update you under our diversity, equity, and inclusion team. I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to sit on the town hall, the Connors Town Hall last week that was held on Monday, but Executive Order 14173, which is ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity. We were told during that meeting more than a week ago now, and I don't have updates, but that the difficulty in that one was understanding what is deemed as illegal is a challenge. Our WSU, attorneys and leaders have been trying to ferret that out, along with other land grant institution leaders. So WSU and other land grant universities were able to confirm that we are not engaging in illegal discrimination and that we are in compliance with the current executive order. And that's based on our land grant mission of access, opportunity for all. And our work does not conflict with the current anti-discrimination laws. So we can, as of now, we can continue our DEI work. I thought you might like to hear that. I've been getting a number of questions around that topic. And then program foundation relations. We have a committee that will review the current foundation MOA. It has been formed with the purpose of reviewing the language and clarifying roles and responsibilities for the program and the foundation. We will submit suggested changes to WSU contracts for by April 15th with the hope that we'll have a new MOA template to work from in May. The committee consists of the state foundation president and vice president, 3 county program coordinator and foundation president pairs from Clark County, Pierce County, and Whatcom County. And then it also includes myself. So we're making some progress on the MOA and in hopes that it will help clarify roles and responsibilities for moving forward. Any questions on those 2 things?
I have a quick question. Will we have a chance to review it before it goes off to contracts?
Mm-mm.
Will we have a opportunity to see it before it rolls out to the general MG population?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we're working in this committee and, you have 3 coordinators on the committee with various skills and backgrounds. So I think it'll be a good update that we can all work from. But WSU Contracts has the final say on what we can approve and what we can't. So anything else? Good to the group? All right, maybe I'll see you tomorrow on Staying Mission Driven. That meeting, I am going to focus on the Flower and Garden Festival endowment update, the DEI piece, program evaluation. I'm going to give an update on Green School, but not nearly as detailed as I gave today. And then State Foundation report and update on AEC. Thanks, everybody. As always, if you have any questions, reach out. Take care.
Thanks, Jennifer. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jennifer.